Audio Jungle.
Metro! Keep the bass drum, keep it on drum, keep the bass drum,
What is macroeconomic? Macroeconomic is the branch of economic that deal with the structure, performance, behavior, and decision-making of the whole or aggregate economy. For an example of the macroeconomic factor is inflation. Did you know inflation is the rate of increase in price over a given period of time? Inflation is typically a broad measure, such as the overall increase in price or the increase in the cost of living in a country.
These factors of inflation is feed cost. The price of chicken feed, which frequently contains grains like corn, soybeans, can have an impact on the cost of eggs and chicken. The higher production expenses for poultry producers may result in higher pricing for chicken and eggs if there is a shortage of these feed ingredients or if their prices rise. In a statement, National Statistics Department Chief Statistician Datuk Sri Muhammad Yusri Mahidin said food inflation rose to new high of 5.2%, the highest since November 2011. Government policies is one factor of inflation. Government restrictions, subsidies and policies can have an impact on the cost of eggs and chicken. For instance, adjustment to agriculture subsidies, import or export limitation or rules pertaining to animal welfare or food safety may have an effect on production and supply chains, in turn affecting prices. Eggs and chicken prices are affected by the level of market competition. Lack of competition can allow companies to have more control over pricing, which could result in higher prices and inflation. In contrast, price reduction may occur when companies engage in increased rivalry for customers. Exchange rates is also one factor of inflation. Changes in exchange rates can affect the cost of imported and exported items such as chicken and eggs. If a nation imports a lot of chicken products, a depreciation in its currency may make it more expensive to import. For example, exchange rates can have an impact on countries' export competitiveness in poultry sector. Export of chicken and eggs may become significantly more expensive on international markets if the local currency gains strength. This might result in less demand for the nation's chicken goods, which might then result in an overflow domestically. Producers might cut domestic prices to reduce the surplus, which would have an influence on inflation.
Next, I will talk about inflation can have an impact on the price of chicken and eggs, as it affects the overall cost of production, transportation, and distribution of these goods. Here are some ways inflation can influence chicken and egg price. When the egg and chicken market experience inflation, the price of this item tend to rise. This means that customers will have to spend more money to buy eggs and chicken, reducing their purchasing power. Next is reduce affordability. For example, higher costs can make egg and chicken less affordable for certain group of people, specifically low-income households. This can lead to change in consumption patterns, with consumers selecting for less expensive alternatives or eating less eggs and chicken. Lastly is substitution effect. As egg and chicken price rise, customers may turn to alternative protein sources such as tofu, fish, or lettuce. This could result in a shift in demand away from eggs and chicken, impacting producers of these items.
In 2023, our government announced that a big issue in our country is about the price of chicken and eggs that will be flipped this July has the potential to increase overall inflation in Malaysia, according to analysis. In my bank, IBG research note said that every 10% increase in the price of chicken is expected to have a direct effect on increasing overall inflation by 0.1 percentage point. To ensure that the supply of chicken eggs remains stable, on February 27, 2023, the Ministry of Agriculture Food Security (KPKM) has announced that it will continue to provide subsidy for egg and chicken until June 2023.
Addressing the inflation issue related to chicken eggs in Malaysia requires a multifaceted strategy. One effective strategy to mitigate inflation is to boost domestic egg production. Malaysia can increase its local egg production to reduce dependency on imported eggs. The government can provide incentive and support to local poultry farmers, which is encouraging them to expand their operations and increase egg production. This can be achieved through training programs, technological advancements, and access to affordable credit. This can be done by providing incentives for farmers to invest in modern and efficient egg farming technologies. By strengthening the domestic supply, Malaysia can reduce its reliance on imports and stabilize egg prices. Implementing efficient price monitoring and regulatory methods is critical to preventing rising prices and unfair trade practices. The government should establish a regulatory body responsible for monitoring egg prices as well as ensuring transparency and enforcing fair pricing practices. Setting price limitations, especially during periods of high inflation, can protect customers from abuse and keep prices affordable. By implementing these strategies, Malaysia can mitigate inflationary pressures, stabilize egg prices, and ensure affordability for consumers. A proactive and coordinated effort is essential to address this issue and promote economic stability in the chicken egg market.